right, good evening everybody and welcome back to Walks on Wall Street. You know, I just got back to New York late last night and it was just a crazy trip. For somehow, I don't even know how this happened. I was going through the TSA, right? And I have this, I'm not sure if anybody has heard of the company, it's called Clear. Now, I don't pay for it. I think I get it free with my credit card. So anyway, I go through the Clear. I hand the lady my ID because they needed to do like a second verification for the ID check for whatever reason. And I don't think she ever gave my ID back to me. So I don't have an ID. So I got to figure out how I have to get my driver's license back. That's going to be a whole dog and pony show. I'm sure you probably exactly know what I'm talking about. If anybody's ever lost a driver's license or an ID, the process of getting that back is just going to be painful. So I'm mentally preparing for that. Now I'm going to set aside probably an entire day to not only mentally prepare myself to deal with DMV employees and such, but yeah, a little bit of an inconvenience. Anyway, more importantly, it's going to be a very busy week on Wall Street again for a couple reasons. Corporate earnings are going to continue into next week, and we're going to hear from a lot of department stores. We're also going to hear from a lot of discount retailers. You can think about Dollar Tree is going to be reporting. Burlington is also going to be reporting, along with Macy's and Lowe's. Now, I'm more particularly interested in Lowe's. Last week we had Home Depot reporting, and we could usually use those earnings reports as a proxy for not only the health of the American consumer, but also the housing market and the like. So it's going to be interesting to see how Lowe's reports. But I think the most important earnings report of next week is actually going to be NVIDIA. Yeah, that's right. NVIDIA is going to be reporting next week, and that is going to be a major market mover. Obviously, the market is in a little bit of a corrective phase now. We are in this, the doldrums of summer, if you will. So I think the NVIDIA earnings report is really going to be a make or break. I want to jump all the way past all of the corporate earnings for next week, and I want to focus in on Jackson Hole for a moment. Now, for those of you who don't know, on Thursday, August 24th, central bankers from all over the United States will be getting together, policymakers and the like, and they're going to be going to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, for the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas annual economic policy symposium. Now, we should be looking very, very carefully at what is going to be said at Jackson Hole. I'm sure CNBC, Bloomberg, and the like are going to cover this in depth. We'll also be covering this on Walks in Wall Street, but pay close attention to Friday, okay? Because Friday is when Fed Chairman Jerome Powell will be giving his speech, sort of summarizing monetary policy, maybe giving us a glimpse into maybe what the Federal Reserve will be doing at the next FOMC meeting. So before we get started, I think it's appropriate, since we're going to hear from the Federal Reserve, let's just quick recap where we are as it relates to monetary policy today. So if you look at the Fed funds rate, it's in a target range of 5.25% to 5.5%. Now, there's a lot of economists on Wall Street that believe this is the peak in the hiking cycle. That's not guaranteed. We don't know that for sure. Now, as the Federal Reserve has raised interest rates over 500 basis points, that's really had an impact on the mortgage market. So if you look at that 30-year fixed rate mortgage, the average 30-year fixed in the United States today, according to bankrate.com, is now 7.5%. Think about that. Major moves in the bond market. The price of money is becoming more and more expensive, and I think that's going to impact the housing market in a big way. We've already seen existing home sales decelerate significantly. I think new home sales are going to start to decelerate, and any developers that are working on new projects, it's going to be harder for them to get the financing for these projects. If you think about a construction loan, you're probably paying double-digit money now, 9 to 10% money on a construction loan. So the cost of capital is going up. This may actually put a little bit of a cap on new inventory, but we'll talk about that as the night progresses. Since it is Sunday, I wish it was Friday. Since it is Sunday, futures just opened about, maybe 30 minutes ago. I'm not even too sure what time it is. So we'll take a quick peek at futures and we will get started, okay? So let's go over to the S&P 500 E-mini futures contract. That is going to be the ES for the S&P 500 E-mini futures from the CME. We're about flat. We're up about 4 points. The S&P is trading at 4,387. If we go over to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the ticker symbol is YM for the E-mini Dow futures. We are also about flat. The Dow is up about 25 points, trading at 34,592. And last but not least, let's check in on all these high beta tech stocks at the NASDAQ 100, ticker symbol NQ. We're also actually a little bit in the green. We're up about 35 points. NASDAQ 100 is trading at 14,778. Last thing I want to note, I promise, and then we'll get started. I want everybody to take a look at the price action from Friday. Now, if you look at it at face value, if you just go to CNBC or even look at your, Apple Stocks app, yes, it's true that the market closed in the negative, but it's so important to look at that intraday volatility because the market was well off of its lows. We've had, 2 or 3 weeks in a row of declines in the stock market. So I think we're due for a little bit of a rally here. I think next week could be a little bit of a reprieve. we're a little bit oversold across the board. And on Friday, we did close almost at the dead high of the day. Even though we did close in the negative, the market fought its way back and closed near the highs. We'll see what happens, but as Sparks Carnival is typing in the chat right now, I knew he was going to be here for this live stream because Nvidia is going to be reporting earnings this week, and that's going to be a massive market mover, $1 trillion company, and I think that's going to set the precedent for the rest of the summer. All right, let me go ahead and close up my laptop here. I'll say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will get started. So, yeah, hopefully you guys had a good weekend. Give me a moment. All right, everybody, welcome back to New York City. We are right here at 42nd Street in the West Side Highway. It's beautiful weather here tonight. Not as humid, obviously, as Miami. So a nice change, but I really do wish I could spend a little bit more time in Miami, Florida. But, we got to take care of business here in New York. Beautiful views of New Jersey across the Hudson River. And we could actually see the Intrepid, which is the retired aircraft carrier in New York City. Now that is now a museum. But tonight we are going to head all the way up to Central Park South because that is where I need to head anyway. And in the distance, we could see the beautiful Hudson Yards development. So let me go ahead and say hello to everybody here. I think that's the most important thing to do. Hey, Jafet Perez is here. Tyree by the book. Richard Vogel, the one and only British Gray from Tampa, Florida. Always appreciate you being here. The Ellery one says hello from Southern California. Whoa, I gotta say, all of our Californians, if that's what you're called, I'm wishing you guys the best. There is this crazy storm I'm sure all of you have been following this. Hopefully it'll blow off the coast and not have a direct hit to California. But from the little I was watching on Twitter, it's supposed to cause some damage and some flooding. So hopefully that will be crisis averted and nothing bad will happen. So to all of our viewers in California, please be safe. Hopefully there's no flooding from Hurricane Hillary. So best wishes for all of you in California, please. Hey, Brick Stonewall is here. Western Mass Dave, thank you for joining. I see Gary Carpenter. My friend Joe C. DA is here. Dallas, good to see you. Joseph Hardaway, Lance is here. Says hey everybody and hey Tom, good to see you. Michael says, Tom, I feel your pain. I lost a clip that had my workplace ID, security badge, and transit cards in New York City. Replaced them all, and the clip broke a week later in Philadelphia. Oh my God, dude. It was the worst feeling. Now, for all of those who are just joining, I don't know. I'm sure everybody's had these days, right? Where it seems like if one thing goes wrong, it's like a domino effect of multiple things that are cascading that are going wrong. So I'm trying to nip it in the bud and stop the bleeding, if you will. But yeah, it's been a weird couple days. I lost my New York State driver's license, which is the most, it sucks. It's an inconvenience. It's not the end of the world, no big deal. But it's a big inconvenience because if you want to do anything, you got to have it. And, I'm not the biggest fan of dealing with the Department of Motor Vehicles to get a new one. I think they're probably going to ask me for my birth certificates, which I don't have. I don't know where that is, so I have to figure it out. It's in Miami, it's in New York, it's in Massapequa, it's in Manhattan. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm going to stay optimistic. It's no big deal. Hey, Battery Grams is here. Thank you for joining us. Justin S. says, do you have a passport? That's the thing, I don't. If you guys could believe that, I don't even have a passport, which I have to get. I'm in the process of getting. It's a big thing. I'm in the process. Jim Vines is here. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. RB. Yeah, says, hello, Tom. California should be fine. Only some inevitable flooding. Well, fingers crossed, right? But here's the negative thing about that. In my opinion, right, having dealt with flooding firsthand, right, flooding in my view, and I want to know your take on this, flooding I think is the worst. Flood damage is horrible. You know, you have to, you know, cut the drywall, you have to get dehumidifiers in, you gotta, you know, watch for mold. Flooding is kind of the worst in my view. I would rather have the high winds, you know, do some damage to my roof than have water, you know, like 4 feet of water in my house. If I had to choose, I wouldn't choose any, but if I had to pick one or the other, I think water damage is way worse than, you know, wind damage and, you know, even cracked windows and things like that. It's my opinion, but yeah, Bill says everybody was out and about in Orange County today. Yeah, Steph UH or UF says flooding is terrible. It really is. Dallas is like, Tom, have you tried Carmine's? Yeah, Carmine's is actually really good. Now, Carmine's, I believe, is on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. They may have multiple locations, but I think I've only been to the one on the Upper West Side, which is pretty good. It's very big portions, I'll say. So if you go to Carmine's with the family, just be very careful what you order there. It's a great Italian spot, but the portions are massive. The portions are really, really big. So, lastly, we do not have the microphone. I think I left the microphone in my scooter as I was driving to the airport. Now, for all of those viewers that are thinking about visiting Miami or even moving there, one of the best perks of Miami International Airport, I'm not sure many of you knew this, some of you probably already do, but if you want to ride a motorcycle, a scooter, or a Vespa to Miami International Airport, it's actually free to leave it there for a month. So they track your parking. You could leave your Vespa, your scooter, you could park there for 30 days absolutely free. Now, after the 30 days, if you take advantage of it too much, they're gonna tow the, you know, they're gonna tow your stuff. They're gonna tow your scooter, they're gonna tow the Vespa, and it's not gonna be a fun time. But you could leave it there for up to a month and it's absolutely free, which is a great, great perk. Yeah, Western Mass Dave's is 1 month, not bad. Jafet Perez, good to see you. Zach Drew, yeah, I'm gonna try it. It's just like, it's a whole day event, you know what I mean? Whenever you have to deal with, you know, DMV stuff, I'd need to allocate like a whole day to do it, I think. Very, very seldom in my experience is anything super quick, so. A-Scan says, thanks for the info. Good to see you. Photos from around New York. Welcome. Timothy Gray says, Tom, do you think that if the Fed continues to raise rates, it will set up for a stock market crash in the fall? I don't know. I don't try to predict, you know, market crashes and the like. But I will say this. And I believe I tweeted about this because I've been getting so many. There's a very high correlation to the amount of emails I get and also the amount of texts that I receive from my friends and family when markets go into volatile times. Now, when the market is going up and it's doing well, I almost don't even hear from anybody. It's very strange. Now, could you use that as a contrarian signal? Sometimes, actually. I remember specifically, I'll tell you a quick story, and it's going to tie into your question because it's a very good question. We're going to hear from the Federal Reserve this week at Jackson Hole, and on Friday, Fed Chair Jerome Powell is going to be giving a speech at Jackson Hole. So that's going to be very important to listen to because he may give clues in regards to setting expectations for the next FOMC meeting. So if you remember 2018, the massive stock market waterfall in 2018. I remember it because the market put in a bottom on Christmas Eve. Does anyone remember that? So if you have your Bloomberg terminal up, or you have, you know, Market Smith or TradingView or whatnot, go back to Christmas Eve 2018, and you'll see the S&P had this like really harsh cascading waterfall like capitulation event. And I remember it because I was on the Long Island Railroad, and I remember just the amount of texts and the amount of fear I was getting from my friends, like, oh my gosh, should I sell this? Should I blow out my account? Should I do this? It was crazy. And I'm not seeing that much, not to that effect, but people are starting to, you know, get a little antsy now, and the market is a little bit oversold. But look, I tweeted out something over the weekend because there's been hundreds of articles, and you've all probably seen these articles. I'll give you an example. Michael Burry, great investor, fantastic guy, genius, extremely smart, Ivy League educated guy. For those of you who don't know who Michael Burry is, he was the hedge fund manager. You know, if you've seen the movie The Big Short, right? He successfully predicted and shorted the housing market in 2008. Made a lot of money. Now, he now has a massive short position on the market yet again. So the financial media will float out all these articles, right? Investor who predicted the 1987 stock market crash is predicting it again on this date. And then, oh my gosh, Michael Burry, who predicted the housing crisis, is now predicting a bigger, better crisis. Jim Rogers, who successfully predicted this crash on this date, is now predicting a worse crash. You've probably seen all those articles. It's the same news cycle. Now, you have to be very careful and take those articles with a grain of salt. And I'll tell you why. And if you go to my Twitter page or my X page, if you follow @WalksWallStreet, you'll sort of see what I wrote out. And you should never, ever, under any circumstance, blindly go into a trade or an investment just because a big name investor like Stanley Druckenmiller, Paul Tudor Jones, Ray Dalio, Michael Burry, all the greats, Bill Ackman, just because they say something and they put on a position does not mean you should. And I'll explain exactly why. Now, it may sound obvious, but you'd be surprised. There's so many people who will, you know, read an article and says, oh, Warren Buffett bought this, I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. Bill Ackman shorted this stock, I'm gonna go ahead and short it. You know, Michael Burry bought XYZ stock or shorted XYZ stock, so I'm gonna short it too. The problem with that is when you're running institutional money, okay? When you're a professional money manager at a hedge fund, maybe you're a proprietary trader at an investment bank, maybe you're at a family office or whatnot, there is a very, very rudimentary systematic framework that these investors follow. So when they put on the position, right, sometimes it could take them years, right, depending on how large the position size is. It could take them months, it could take them years to size in and get a full position size on. So number one, they know how to enter the trade. They've already planned out and mapped out exactly how they're gonna size into the opportunity. Number two, they have already planned and have already put on their hedges for these positions, right? Retail traders and investors don't think about any of that. They just say, okay, I'll market buy the stock, I'm not gonna have any hedges on, and I'm not gonna have an exit strategy or plan. The institutional investors, they account for risk-adjusted returns. So they have very sophisticated investors at these firms that account for every specific scenario. So if the trade goes wrong, how are they gonna get out? You know, are they gonna sell options against the position? Or how are they gonna hedge? You know, maybe they have, you know, an investment bank price out some equity exotic product to give them a hedge on this, right? Retail traders don't. So the problem with, you know, following just blind advice or just, oh, Ray Dalio bought this, I'm gonna buy it. Ray Dalio knows exactly how to size into the position. He knows exactly how to hedge the position, and he also knows exactly how to unwind the position should things go south. So if you're solely creating a thesis based upon the fact that, oh, this big investor bought or sold, if the narrative changes, you're gonna not know how to deal with that situation, right? So that's number one, that I think is very important. So maybe your question was, you know, you're seeing all these articles about, hey, rates are going up and they're going to continue to go up, and that's going to cause a black swan event in October. I don't think anybody could predict that, right? Not even the best investors in the world. So I would just take that with a grain of salt. Now, is it possible? Yeah, sure, it's possible. But does it mean you should take an action off of that one article? Probably not. Probably not. Hey, Christian says, hey, Tom, what's up? Christian Coleman is here. Now, everybody, this is the Port Authority bus terminal on 42nd Street in Times Square. Hey, Robert Parker says, hey, Tom, what's your opinion on the euro becoming the world's primary global currency? I think that's probably highly unlikely. And again, this is just my opinion. I think the US dollar will continue to be the world's reserve currency for the long foreseeable future. In my view, we would know if the US dollar was in jeopardy of losing its world reserve currency status, if you know what I mean. I think you all sort of understand that. Because in a fiat currency system, the United States dollar is backed by one thing and one thing only. And a lot of people don't know this. But the US dollar right now is backed by the full force and might of the United States military. And that's the truth. So if there was ever a real threat, right? And this isn't conspiracy stuff. In my view, if there was ever a real threat of the dollar losing world reserve currency status, we would probably know about it. There'd probably be some hot conflict going on around the world. Unfortunately, but it's probably what it would be. Hey, FredX is here. What's up, FredX? Thanks for joining us from the beautiful, the one and only, Alaska. Okay, we've reached 8th Avenue and 42nd Street. We are right outside the Port Authority bus terminal. I think we're gonna make a left and go up to Central Park South. Sparks Carnival says, you guys see Dunkin' is now selling grab-and-go alcoholic coffee beverages. What? No way, dude. Is that true? I don't know how they're gonna... I don't know if that's a joke or not. Grab-and-go alcoholic coffee beverages. I don't even know how that'd be legal. That's wild, man. Sparks Carnival is 100% true. Wow. Now, how would that work with like open carry laws and stuff? Not open carry, but open container. Because you're not even allowed to walk around with like an open beer in New York City. So I don't know how that would work. Wow, LA says it is true. How do you guys think that will do, by the way? If I just had to get a little bit of some feedback in the chat. Do we think that would actually do well? I don't know. Dunkin' Donuts is no longer publicly traded. I remember when Dunkin' Donuts was a publicly traded company. It used to trade under the ticker symbol DNKN, Dunkin'. Yeah, PB on the go says, didn't realize you're back in New York. Yeah, I had to come back early, but for good news, for good reasons. Today I was actually in Red Hook, Brooklyn. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar, but our team won a really big deal, and we are going to be the lead sales team on the Conover. It's an awesome project in Red Hook, Brooklyn. If you want to check it out, you could just go to Street Easy, or you could just Google the Conover. And it's a really cool project. We met with the developer. The developer is such a cool guy, really creative individual too. So I'm really excited and blessed to be able to work with him. He's such a creative at heart. And I think I'll probably learn a lot from him too. And I think we'll sell this thing out in no time, in my opinion. Hopefully on Tuesday, I'll be able to go to the property and maybe do one of the property tours for all of you, which we did for Broome Street. I'm not sure if you guys saw that one, so maybe I'll have to film one for the Conover. We got the M42 crosstown bus service coming down the street. Yeah, Keith, Tom at 199 Conover, that's it. That's it, yeah. 199 Conover, correct. All right, let's get out of the Times Square area. Maybe we'll go to Bryant Park and then head up near the Bank of America Tower, perhaps. Now, I have a question for all of you. I'm still trying to get my head around the fact that Dunkin' Donuts is serving alcoholic grab-and-go coffee or products. Do we think Starbucks is gonna follow that lead? I don't know how much of a good idea that is. Like, if you're ordering an alcoholic coffee at a drive-thru, I don't know if those two mix. I don't know. Oh wow, Justin S says they partnered with the brewery for it. They'll probably have some restrictions where you have to do dine-in only. We'll see. Wow, look at this. I never even noticed this. It says retail plus office opportunity. This looks like a massive, completely vacant office space here right in Times Square. And we've been talking about this for a long time. Now I will say this, and we've briefly spoke about this together here on the live stream. I'm already seeing opportunities of distressed assets, particularly in retail office mix, that are distressed. The debt is bad, it's going into foreclosure, and I think that's going to create opportunity for some very small private equity firms or real estate investment firms to go in here and make cash offers on these really good properties, you know, and either just do a brief renovation, right? Try to get some tenants in there, or depending on zoning, maybe build additional condominium units. I think there's gonna be a lot of opportunity, and it's just starting, but I think the opportunity is gonna be bigger and better 18 months from now, particularly in commercial office in the city. All right, let's cross here. We are now at 7th Avenue. If you take 7th Avenue all the way down, you'll actually run right into Madison Square Garden and Pennsylvania Station. But I think we'll go there another night. Hey, Joan K, thank you so much. Quinn says there are laws against driving with alcohol open container. Yeah, New York is very strict on that, which they should be. I think the worst crime is drinking and driving, in my opinion. Colton says, how many times a week do we hear the song? Probably too many, honestly. The New York song. Sorry. Now this is one of the subway stops where they're putting in that new AI technology. Does anybody remember like 2 weeks ago we talked about that? So this is the Times Square 42nd Street subway stop. You can get the 1, 2, 3, 7 NQ, W, and S trains, the shuttle to Grand Central. You could also get the ACE here if you take the underpass. Now at this station, the MTA is rolling out facial recognition technology to be able to identify individuals who jump the turnstiles, right? It's called fare evasion. The city of New York and the MTA loses billions of dollars a year to fare evaders. So it's, of my opinion, one of the reasons why you're starting to see fares go up. Any New Yorkers in the chat? Did anybody notice that the subway fare just went up again? I think it's like $2.90. The weekly pass, the monthly pass is going to go up. And I think they're doing that to account for all of the fare evasion, right? So you have sort of the magic elixir here where you have ridership down, revenues down, and costs that are up. So in order to, you know, overcompensate one way or the other, prices are going up. And if I had to bet, oh, DM, is that right? It increased today? I think that's probably the reason why I noticed it, because I went to swipe in on my, what is it called? I use Apple Pay to swipe in. I think it's called something specific, but anyway. And I got a notification, and I usually never get a notification for if I tap the subway. And the notification came up and it said charge $2.90. So yeah, prices are going up. And I think that's also, now they won't tell you this, but in my view, that's probably why they also did the congestion pricing. So the congestion pricing is if you take your car into Manhattan and you go below 60th Street, you're gonna get charged just for driving your car into Midtown Manhattan. It's called congestion pricing, which is, it kind of sucks to be honest, but all right, everybody, we've now reached One Times Square. This is where they dropped the ball on New Year's Eve. I can't believe that it's almost September already. About 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half to go. Michael Joseph says MTA can't stop fare jumpers. It's insane. Yeah, and you know, I think it's unfair in a way for the people who do pay the fare, right? Because if you think about it, we, right, the working class person is subsidizing all this theft. I think that's a big problem, and I think people are gonna start to get sick of it and leave and move out. Now, it may not seem like a big deal if one person does it, but there's millions and millions and millions of people in Manhattan, and there's thousands of people that jump the fares every day. So essentially what's going on now in the city is the everyday working person that, you know, gets up, takes the train to work, pays their fare. We're essentially subsidizing all of the crime, all the theft, which kind of stinks. Kind of stinks, not gonna lie. Anyway, what can you do? 6th Avenue, Avenue of the Americas, 42nd Street, and a beautiful view of the one and only Empire State Building outside of the Salesforce Tower. Salesforce trades under the ticker symbol CRM, and it's actually very clear out tonight. You can see all the way down to the World Trade Center. It's pretty nice. Since Bryant Park is open, we might as well just take a quick walk around the park. Might as well. Hey, John says there's a certain, yep. Jimmy is here, what's up? Oh wow, Alan, I didn't know that. KM Ramsey's peace and blessings from Cincinnati. Love Cincinnati. Good to see you. Roberts is the Long Island Railroad and Metro North fares have increased by 4.5% also today. You know, it's crazy, Robert, that you bring that up. So I'll give you a little bit of a comparative analysis here. I started to buy my first monthly Long Island Railroad passes when I was a freshman in college, because I would commute from Long Island, from Massapequa Park, to Penn Station, right, to go to school. I had to go to class. I think when I first bought my monthly pass, I think it was $290, and that would get you from Massapequa Park to Penn Station unlimited. I don't even know what it is now. Maybe somebody could Google that if you go to the LIRR's website. How much is a monthly pass from Massapequa Park to Penn Station? It's probably over $320 now. Because when I was buying them, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, maybe even more, it was like $290 or maybe even $287 it was. I gotta look, but yeah, it's expensive. Things are expensive. All right, we are now inside Bryant Park. It is a gorgeous night out tonight. Hey, Gary says, can you take us up to where they used to do the Ed Sullivan show? Yeah, we'll actually be up that way later tonight. That's going to be right on Broadway. Now, what's interesting about that, the Ed Sullivan Theater is right across the street from where Bad Boy Entertainment used to be. So if you've heard of Sean Combs, P. Diddy, his corporate office used to be literally across the street. Now, that is totally abandoned and vacant, and it looks it's like an eyesore to the neighborhood. But I think there's plans for a demolition and to build condominiums, I think, right where the old Bad Boy Entertainment was. Here you have great views of One Vanderbilt and also the very top of the Chrysler Building. Yeah, Daniel G says the best view of the Empire State Buildings from Bryant Park. Daniel's joining us from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Now, I'll tell you what my personal favorite, I should say, Empire State Building view where it was. Now, unfortunately, that view is going to be no longer because they're building like a mega tall condominium structure. Has anybody ever been in Madison Square Park, right where the Shake Shack is? Sitting right in the sort of communal area there, if you will, right at the Shake Shack in Madison Square Park, unobstructed views of the Empire State Building, but from the south side, that's all obstructed now. There's a new development going up. So if you're standing, right outside the Flatiron Building, you can no longer see, you could see a little bit of the Empire, but it doesn't look good at all, which is a bummer. But this is probably now the default best view of the Empire State Building in the city, right here at Bryant Park. Now, the lawn is closed, but keep in mind that every single Monday night of the summer, every single Monday night of the summer right here, so tomorrow night, you're gonna have movie night in Bryant Park. So they're gonna have a big screen right here. You're gonna be able to pull up a lawn chair, lay out a blanket, and they play free movies in Bryant Park every single Monday night of the summer. So if you're looking for something free to do in the city, definitely check it out. Hey, Ukrainian Royal, thank you so much for your $10 donation. Appreciate it very much. Says, hey, nice to see you again. What are your opinions on Hudson Yards complex? Worldwide Plaza is still the best. I see we are in Bryant Park tonight. Yeah, we are in Bryant Park. Now, I really like the Hudson Yards. Now, we'll talk about New York City real estate for a second because we have been talking about commercial real estate. One of the interesting trends we're seeing right now in New York City is not only high vacancies for commercial, office, and retail, particularly in Lower Manhattan and in Midtown, but what you're seeing is a lot of big corporations. This is a really cool spot to play ping pong. They have tons of free, cool activities here in Bryant Park. But what you're actually seeing is a flight to quality, it's called, where corporations are breaking their leases in Class B and Class C office towers here in Manhattan. They're downgrading for less square footage, but in better buildings. Does that make sense? I'll give you a couple examples. 425 Park Avenue. Look that up. Bloomberg actually did a really cool immersive walkthrough of that building. It's right across the street from 430 Park, which I actually used to work there. And it's very close to 432 Park Avenue, which just so happens to be one of the most exclusive and expensive condominiums ever built in the world, right there. But 425 Park is a Class A office tower, state of the art. Corporations, companies are moving in for less space, but better space, right? Better community areas, better amenities, higher ceiling heights. And the Hudson Yards offers exactly that. The Hudson Yards development is fantastic. There is tons of vacant space in the Hudson Yards still, but there's actually a lot of tenants. KPMG, I believe, used to have their massive corporate headquarters here in Manhattan on the east side. They're no longer on the east side. I think they're in Hudson Yards. That's their New York City and maybe global headquarters right there. Accenture's in there. So many different businesses are moving in there just because they want the quality. They want a little bit less space. And I think that's going to put a lot of hurt on some of these smaller office players who own a ton of Class B office space in the city. So I like the Hudson Yards. It's very clean. There's just a brand new Moynihan extension. So if you haven't heard of the High Line, just quickly do a Google search. If you haven't been in New York, check out the New York City High Line. They just opened probably 3-4 weeks ago. It's called the Moynihan extension to the High Line. It's awesome. I give it a 10 out of 10. It connects the High Line from 30th Street and it wraps all the way around to the Whole Foods. So it's an amazing development. They're keeping it very clean. Lots of great stores, lots of great restaurants. I give Hudson Yards 2 thumbs up. Hey, Ukrainian Royal, thank you so much for your additional $5 donation. Very generous of you. Says, I have never been a fan of Billionaires Row. The architecture is not very appealing to me. Hudson Yards may stay vacant due to remote work. Yeah, I mean, you know, Hudson Yards, again, like I said, is attracting a lot of tenants, but there is a lot of empty space there. You got to think about competition, right? As we're walking past the beautiful Bryant Park Grill, you got to think about competition. And there's a lot of competition in New York for office space. So one of two things are probably going to happen. The price per square foot of some of the older buildings are going to plummet, right, to attract tenants. Or there's just going to be, you know, go into foreclosure, and they're either going to be conversions or they're going to try to update them or whatnot. But all right, so we are now exiting Bryant Park. This used to be called the New Community College. This is the Bryant Park Grill, and the SUNY School of Optometry is right in the back over there. Hey, Jonathan says Worldwide Plaza changed. Hell's Kitchen for the better. Built in 85, 86. I believe we went there 2 weeks ago on the live stream. I think that is the headquarters of Nomura Investment Bank. Yeah, I mean, Hell's Kitchen has definitely gotten a lot better over the years for sure. Here's another Class A office tower. This is One Vanderbilt. Now at the very top of One Vanderbilt, I believe they just opened the American Express Centurion Lounge, I think. One of you actually sent me a very nice invitation for the beginning of February. I mean, for the beginning of September, which I will be taking you up on that. I would love to see what it's like there. This is a nice hotel. This is the Park Terrace Hotel. I never really noticed it because there used to be all of this really egregious scaffolding all over the place, but they've finally taken it down. If you stay here, you're gonna have amazing views of Bryant Park. And if you have a south-facing room, you're gonna have unobstructed views of the one and only Empire State Building. Hey, Brian C. Randalls. Good evening, Tom. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Celtech, welcome. Good to see you. Michael Joseph says Jamie Dimon building. Vacancy numbers will be. Are you referring to 270 Park Avenue? So 270 Park is going to be the brand new headquarters of JP Morgan Chase. You're 100% correct. All right, we're going to make a left on 5th Avenue, and then we're going to head up. Ukrainian Royal, thank you so much for an additional $5 donation. Appreciate you very, very much. Zoyas Worldwide Plaza, we were there last Sunday. It made an attempt to cut me up to Hell's Kitchen area, yeah. Appreciate that, my friend. Yeah, it's a beautiful building. This right here, I always like to point this out because we do have a lot of new people here. This is the New York Public Library that sits adjacent to the main Stephen Schwarzman building, New York Public Library. So if you're interested in finance, go right into this building. It's going to be on West 40th and 5th Avenue, and take the elevator to the 5th floor. Now, if you go to the 5th floor, you're going to be able to use the Bloomberg terminals for free. So if you don't want to pay $2,500 a month to use Michael Bloomberg's terminals, you could spend some time in the New York Public Library right across the street from the Stephen Schwarzman building, and you could use them free of charge. I really should. I think we do need more mods. I think, is Sparks Carnival a moderator? I think he should be, for sure. Yeah, just in case there's any ruckus, we'll do that. All right, cool. All right, let us press on. There's the two major lions here. All right, a little bit off topic, but I want to do a quick poll here. You see these rickshaw people that drive these little carts? Would you be more inclined or less inclined to ride in one of those things when they're hammering the music at a ridiculous decibel? Would you be more inclined or would you be less inclined? I would say significantly less inclined. Maybe people like it. I don't know. I know Wendy England says less. Everybody's saying less. Crazy, right? I don't know why they hammer the music like crazy. Yeah, DM says no loud music. I'm not a big loud music kind of guy. I'm more of a mellow. Yeah, I mean, everybody's saying less inclined. I think they need to look at the data. I mean, maybe the data does show if the music's louder, people come. I don't know. Who knows? This is an awesome shot of the Chrysler building and the very top of One Vanderbilt. Fantastic. But let's cross and let's actually go back to Avenue of the Americas. Hey, Ukrainian Royal, thank you so much. As I never took those bike rides, I don't like the sound of music. Nice to see Bryant Park area plus the library. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support. And we will see you very soon. All right, let's go back to 6th. and then we're gonna make a right and we're gonna go all the way up until Central Park. But I appreciate you very much, very kind. So we'll jump right into it. It'll be a sort of a shortened market to look ahead stream because it's been a very crazy past few days for me. But there's going to be some very notable corporate earnings coming up. I think Lowe's is probably going to be the second most important. That'll sort of piggyback off of Home Depot's earnings that we had last week. Macy's is going to report, Dollar Tree, The Gap, and Burlington. Now, if I had to just make a random prediction just for the fun of it, just for the sake of doing it, I think the Dollar Tree is probably going to have a good quarter. Now, why do I say that? Well, I usually try to go off of what Walmart reports, and over the past couple earnings quarters, or the past couple earnings, ooh, look at this, guys. This is gorgeous. Look at these ceilings here. That is amazing architecture. Now this is 11 West 42nd. I really never noticed it too much. I just always have my head down, walking as fast as I can. But look at how beautiful the entrance is to this building. This is really nice. Beautiful moldings, and this looks like marble here too. Let's see. Let's see if it's solid. Yeah, it's like a solid slab. Wow. And it goes all the way to the inside too. Look at that. That's gorgeous. Imagine having this view walking out of your office. Right across the street is the Steven Schwarzman building. Very nice. Anyway, sorry I got sidetracked there, but so what we've been noticing, particularly with Walmart, is consumers are starting to trade down. You're actually starting to see Walmart win some business from Whole Foods. Well, technically from Amazon, right? Amazon owns Whole Foods. Funny enough, this is an Amazon Go store. If you walk into this store, there's no cashiers, there's no nothing. Essentially, you walk in with your Amazon account, you grab what you need and you leave, and it automatically charges your Amazon account. It's pretty cool. So consumers are starting to trade down, and households that have a household income over $110,000, which tend to be Whole Foods shoppers, they're starting to trade down to Walmart Supercenter, right? Costco and the like, discounts. Additionally, what Walmart has been seeing is customers that would normally buy name brand products, right? You think about the Procter & Gamble's of the world and all that, the General Mills for the cereals. Consumers are actually starting to trade down and purchase the Walmart brand, which I think is, what is the Walmart brand, the name? If anybody could maybe drop it in the chat. Is it, it's something good brand, I forget. I don't know, maybe you guys could help me out with that. I'm just blanking on it for one reason or another. So I think you're gonna start to see that trickle down even more. Ah, Great Value. Duda, thank you so much. Great Value brand. Now, the funny thing about Great Value brand is it's actually higher margins for Walmart. So that discount food and products, when consumers buy that, there's actually a higher gross margin there, which is kind of funny. Not a lot of people know that, but I think that trend's going to continue. So Dollar General, Dollar Tree, I think they should probably do well. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Wow, Robert, let me see. Hold on one second. Hey, Carl Ross's food quality is questionable at Amazon Go. I've heard that a lot. I've heard mixed reviews about that. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, you could feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do these live streams starting at 8:30 p.m. and we try to do it every night. We'd love to have you here. All right, so we're now back outside of the Bank of America Tower. Amazing shot here of the Empire, but we are actually going to be making a right and going all the way up. You'll be able to see Radio City Music Hall, 30 Rock, News Corporation building, Steinway Piano Store here in a minute, and if you look all the way in the distance, we're actually going to check out 53 West 53rd, which is a Billionaires Row style building that is actually just off of Billionaires Row. Ooh, Western Mass Dave, that's a great comment. Western Mass Dave says, but theft and retail shrink is still a huge problem for Walmart and Target. You're 100% correct. It's a big problem. Now, if you remember Rite Aid's earnings, now a few quarters ago, the CEO of Rite Aid actually came out and said that they're starting to close some stores in some major cities because the retail shrink has been just so egregious. And you know, I'm assuming we've all seen those videos, right? If you're on Twitter, you know, of people walking in with literal garbage bags and just clearing the shelves and just walking out with the goods. Now, I'm not trying to fearmonger, right? I just think it's important we bring this up as we're talking about earnings, because that's probably going to come up in conversation, particularly, you know, as companies like Lowe's and Macy's report. So it's definitely good to bring up. Hey, KM Ramsey says, Tom, they are getting some good steaks in. I will tell you that, especially Link Sam's Club. Interesting. Now, I've noticed the quality of meat has maybe gone down, or maybe it's just seasonal, but I don't know. Every time I'm in Miami, I like to grill on my charcoal barbecue grill. And I don't know, I just feel like the cuts of the meat are not, something changed year over year. I don't know if it's just the cattle are stressed out, I don't know. Maybe it's just an anecdote. I don't know. Yeah, J49 says corporations have an excuse for low sales. It's called shrink. Well, I mean, this earnings season actually hasn't been that bad. Hasn't really been that bad at all. Consumers are still spending. And if you think about last Friday, actually 2 Fridays ago, we heard from the University of Michigan as they released their consumer sentiment report. And consumers are actually slowly becoming more optimistic on the economy, and spending hasn't really deterred. Now, the problem is, and I think Robert and Sparks Carnival really brought this up, and I think it's important to mention, yes, it is true that consumer spending has continued to go up, but what is also true is that household consumer debt has also gone up significantly. So, you know, is this causation correlation here? Maybe Americans are running up credit card balances because they need to, because things are too expensive. Groceries are too expensive. If you look at CPI, the 2 main categories of inflation that have really yet to come down is shelter costs and food costs. So, yeah, Narcos' credit card debt is out of control. It's hit an all-time record high. And the concerning thing is, it's hit an all-time record high in this environment that we're in of interest rates. So, some of the most expensive debt to have is consumer credit card debt. I believe you guys put this in the chat last time. The average APY on a credit card now is over 20%. So if balance is in the United States of credit cards at all-time highs and continuing to rise. Well, what do we think that means for all that accruing interest? You know, compounding interest works both for and against you, so maybe it'll be a problem. Hey, Brick Stonewall's here. What's up? Dan Zangs, hey Tom, you're back in New York City. So fast this time. Yeah, I wish I could have spent a little bit more time in Miami, to be honest. I was pretty much working every day. But good things are happening. It's really all that matters. This is News Corporation, the home of Investors Business Daily, Wall Street Journal, and Barron's. Hey, Rob H. says, hey Tom, I work in retail management healthcare in Tennessee, and I hear of people walking out of stores with shopping carts. Oops, I just lost your comment. With shopping carts full of merchandise. In 25 years of working in this industry, it's never been this bad. Whoa, really? Hold on, I gotta read that again. That was really good data. I think I may need to put slow mode on the chat. I think you all got that. You've never seen it this bad, retail theft, in 20 years of working? I mean, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, that's a problem. Wow, in 20 years. Who Dat Dave says, Tom, lower quality meats are being considered in conjunction with shrinkflation. The quality of meat has not changed, just the availability. I don't know. So I'll give you a quick example, and maybe this is just an anecdote. This time last year, and particularly over the winter, you know, I would go to Whole Foods, I would go to some local butchers in Miami and buy, you know, New York strip steaks, and they're fantastic. They come out 10 out of 10, fantastic. The past couple months, it's been like weird. The only way I could describe it is the meat is like a little bit gamey. Now, maybe it's seasonal, maybe it's just an anecdote, but I don't know. I was actually researching it online, and I actually did find an article as to maybe why. And it could be caused to stress of the animals with the poor air quality from the fires and all that. Who knows? I don't know if there's any weighting or credence to that, but all right, guys, check this out. This is probably the best halal food you're ever gonna get, right on the corner of West 49th Street. Check out how long the line is. This is at least a 3-hour line here. It goes all the way from 49th Street to 48th Street. This is by far a 3-hour line for this food. It goes all the way down there. That's insanity. Now, let's do some quick math. If each plate at Adele's Famous, if an average plate is $15, how many people would you guess is in this line? They're probably making, I mean, my gosh, they're probably making so much money, it's ridiculous. But they deserve it, by the way, because this is, in my opinion, the best halal food in the city. Big fan of halal food, I love it, but I can only really eat it once a month. It's not something you should probably eat all the time. But this is a great location. Prime location next to all the office buildings, and you get a lot of tourists coming from Rockefeller Center too. Sparks Carnival says, will consumers wait as long for the new iPhone models next month? Hey guys, they're waiting for Adele's, yeah, who knows. Now, that's another interesting thing, Sparks Carnival. Did you guys see that Apple is gonna have to pay a ridiculous fine for purposely slowing down the performance of the iPhones? You guys see that? Now, I mean, we all expected that, right? We were all kind of, everybody sort of had that hunch that Apple was doing that, purposely slowing down their products. But they have to pay a fine now, and they're gonna pay, suffer the consequence. But again, if you do the math, right? Think about it like this. How much money do you think Apple made due to their acts of purposefully slowing down the iPhone as it relates to the fine or the fee or the penalty that they have to pay? it is totally the cost of doing business. I mean, would you agree or disagree with that, right? Now, I'm not saying do you agree if it's morally or ethically right. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, do you agree that, you know, if you could pay a $5 billion fine or whatever it is to make, I mean, oh my God, how much Apple made probably from doing that. Just the cost of doing business. Yeah, FedEx is many, many more times the fine. Now imagine what else these corporations are doing. Not to get too far down the rabbit hole here, but I want everybody to think about that for a moment. What else are corporations doing, not only in the tech sector, but in, you know, food and agriculture to keep the American consumer on the hamster wheel? You know, it's been proven that there's been particular additives to food to make you, oh my God, look at that. Look at this. That's hilarious. Look at these guys. It's hilarious. Right outside Radio City. That's so funny. Anyway, I don't even know what I was saying. It's all right. I know it should be a Subaru commercial. Hey, the Wizards. It's Tom. Once you get out, could you walk with free stuff? People are hurting this economy and are bound to try it. Not an excuse, but just an action reaction. Tom, once it got out. Ah, the Wizard. Okay. I think you're referring to the retail shrink or slippage. I don't know what you were talking about. All right, this is UBS, the Universal Bank of Switzerland, excuse me. Oh, let me refocus my camera here. Hey, Marcelo Gill says, hey Tom, next September, I'll be there. Have a nice live and a nice Sunday night. Well, let me know if you're here. Let me know. I'll probably be here next September too. DM says the additives in the food. They have a very good documentary, What the Health. Interesting. I've never heard of it. I'll try to watch it. Now, with documentaries, like documentaries are meant to be persuasive. So I think it's important to also watch a documentary that counterpoints the argument. Right, because that's essentially what a lot of these documentaries are supposed to be doing, is being persuading you one way or the other. But you know, why do you think that, you know, places like Chipotle have, you know, extremely high amounts of salt in the food? Right? If you ever walked into a Chipotle, you'll see the, you know, the sodium warning. But there's been studies done, and the saltier the food, the more desirable it is, right? It triggers a craving in your mind. Now this is 53 West 53rd Street right here. This is the building off Billionaires Row. And you can kind of see a little piece of 432 Park Avenue there too. Hey, Jackie New York is here. What's up, Jackie? Thanks so much for being here. Yeah, Roberts' MSG does that too. Michael S., welcome. Sparks Carnival says Apple has a reputation as one of the most reliable, safe stocks, even in an economic downturn. Coca-Cola is another reasonably safe dividend aristocrat. Yeah, I mean, that's, but here's the thing. There's been also studies done, and you could run this yourself. The narrative that stocks always go up over time, it's actually false. The vast majority of stocks actually go down over time. the reason why people get that confused is because they're looking at the major equity index. And the S&P 500 is constantly rebalanced. And if a company is not performing, and if it's not, up to standard of earnings, it gets kicked out and new companies come in. So, if you're gonna own individual stocks, you really, really, really need to be on top of it. And you need to be on every earnings report or earnings call. You need to figure out if the narrative is changing. Just look at a stock like General Electric. There was a time where people would say, oh, you work at GE, you're gonna get a pension for life, and you're gonna do just fine. Now, General Electric stock is, not worthless, but you get the picture, right? Just type in ticker symbol GE and zoom out on a monthly time frame, and you'll sort of see what I'm talking about. And that has happened time and time again. And what you're actually seeing now with disruption, with the internet, with cloud computing, artificial intelligence, ever since the year 2000, and most recently, ever since the introduction of 3G technology, right? So 3G really allowed us to use the internet mobile, right, on our phones, on tablets. And the cycle of disruption is getting faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, which means companies that were once doing fantastic, they tend to get disrupted quicker and quicker and quicker in each cycle. Now, the thing with Apple and Microsoft, right, that's been around forever, particularly Microsoft, is they have so much cash, and Apple has so much cash that they can hire the top quality talent, pay them anything they want, and invest tons of money into research and development. Also, they can just acquire competitors, right? They can acquire companies' technologies. Real quick, this is Alliance Bernstein here. They just redid the lobby of this building. Now, there's a very notable hedge fund that is right here in the Alliance Bernstein building, and it is called Fortress Investments, right here. Now, Fortress, I think most people know Fortress from Michael Novogratz. And Mike Novogratz really got his start on Wall Street at Goldman Sachs. I believe he worked his way up to managing director at Goldman Sachs, and then he left to Fortress, where he made a fortune. But now he actually has his own firm, and it's called Galaxy Digital. So I believe Michael Novogratz is pretty much investing all of his time and his energy and his money into the cryptocurrency world, space, ecosphere, if you will. And I believe Galaxy Digital is an onboarding company to help institutional players, institutional asset managers get exposure to those particular digital assets, right? I think the most notable one, obviously, is Bitcoin. Then you have Ethereum. Those are probably the top two that most people know about. Dude, this is Microsoft Play with OpenAI has set them up for the forthcoming future. Yeah, there was an interesting, and I should have wrote this down. I was going to program it into the Nightbot, but I've just been so busy over the past couple days. Now, if you go to my Twitter account, or X, now that the new company is called X, if you follow @WalksWallStreet on Twitter, scroll down over my last couple tweets. There was a very profound equity research analyst. I forget his name. I don't want to misquote who did it. It may have been Charlie Bello, or it may have been Tom Lee. I forget who posted the tweet. Anyway, so I retweeted it because we've been talking about this trend for so long. And it was the relation of S&P 500 gross margins expanding and contracting in different cycles. And margins, what this infographic is showing, is that margins are expanding significantly. So I believe, doesn't mean I'm right, but if you factor in automation, artificial intelligence, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago on the stream, we gave an example of Sweet Green, right? If anybody's ever been to that sort of QSR salad place, Sweet Green, they're rolling out fully autonomous and robotic stores. That is going to balloon gross margins. Think about all of the operational inefficiencies that are going to be solved due to artificial intelligence and machine learning. I think it is going to expand gross margins in a massive way. And many people that are predicting over the next, 5 to 10 years that the economy is going to go into this, tailspin, I actually think quite the opposite. I think AI, machine learning is going to put us on a whole other economic boom that many people are really not ready for, to be honest. Hey, Paul, this is Tom. I bought Microsoft back in 2010 at $22 and change. It's now $317. I think they'll still keep going. Wow. Well, congratulations on that trade. That is an unbelievable trade. And factoring in dividends, you probably made a fortune on that. So God bless. That's awesome. What a trade. That's fantastic. Hey, Irving Gallos is visiting soon. Anybody recommend a hotel in Manhattan? If you send me an email, walkswallstreet@gmail.com, and you tell me when you're coming here, I'll write out, a paragraph or two of recommendations, depending on your budget. If you want a really nice hotel and you want to stay right here on Billionaires Row, you could stay in this building right in front of us, 157. The Park Hyatt, New York, is right in 157. Now this building is called Steinway Tower, 111 West 57th Street. This right here is actually the skinniest residential apartment building in the entire world. It's an unbelievable development right here on 57th Street. Now, the only thing I would say about Billionaires Row, if I had to critique it, and there's really no critiques, I like Billionaires Row a lot. 57th Street is very loud. You have two-way traffic coming here. Now, obviously, if you're on the 90th floor of Central Park Tower, the street noise is probably not going to matter to you much, right? Because you're actually going to be above the noise. But if you're on a lower floor, you're probably going to hear a lot of street noise at all hours of the day and hammering away due to construction. I think this is the Thompson Hotel Bar. They have an awesome setup here. Hey, Bryant, yes. I am back in the city a little bit earlier than planned. Now, this building is going up. I think it's going to be a mix of office and retail. It actually blocks the view of one of my favorite buildings in the city, which is the JW Marriott Essex House, which is on Central Park South, unfortunately. Hey, Eric, this is great seeing your viewership grow. This is a great quality channel. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. And hopefully you guys had a great weekend as well. Tomorrow is Monday. So this is 157. This was the first building on Billionaires Row. Extel is the developer. EXTELL, Extel. Gary Burnett's company. So he did this tower, and he also did Central Park Tower right here. You can kind of see what I mean by a little bit loud now, right? Right across the street from the Russian tea room. Oh, I think the only company that we forgot to say, everybody, that's going to be reporting earnings is the most important one, NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is going to be reporting earnings next week. And in my view, that's going to be the report that the market is going to be waiting for. $1 trillion company, right? It makes up a very, very big weighting in the S&P 500. So if NVIDIA really bombs earnings, you could expect the market to be down in a big way, and vice versa. So, we'll see. Any predictions or expectations for NVIDIA's earnings report? I know Sparks Carnival probably has a ton of predictions. Yeah, Sparks Carnival says, let's go NVIDIA. Many other stocks could follow their coattails for sure, particularly semiconductors in general. Now, there's an index that I always look at to gauge the health of the semiconductor sector, and that is the SOX, SOXX. So if you look at ticker symbol SOXX, that is a basket of semiconductor stocks. The Wizards is, I think, the Twitter's new X logo looks like Xerox from the 1980s. Now, I think Howard Schultz, who is the CEO and founder of Starbucks, if you ever read any of his books, which I would highly suggest doing, I have so much respect for Howard Schultz. That guy, if you want to talk about the American dream, the American success story, he is it. Like that man is the American dream, ladies and gentlemen. Grew up very poor in the housing projects in Brooklyn, New York, and self-made. Grew a massive, I don't even like calling it a coffee company. I would actually argue that Starbucks is not a coffee company. It's a brand, right? You're selling the brand. I think very seldom do people go to Starbucks for the taste of the coffee. I like Starbucks coffee. I think it tastes great. Now, there's some local coffee roasteries that are way better, obviously, but it's the third place, right? It's a brand. If you see Starbucks logo, anybody from any planet in the universe could recognize that brand. So now, the reason why I say that is in his book, Howard Schultz got his start by being a door-to-door salesman for Xerox. Did anybody know that? So he would actually go to all the office towers and go office by office by office and try to sell copiers. Now, that is not an easy job for anybody here who's done, business-to-business sales or door-to-door sales. It is very difficult and it is very humbling, but I think it's one of the best things that you could do if you want to build a very, very thick skin, so to speak. If you have experience in B2B sales, cold calling, door knocking, and you've done it successfully, I really truly believe you could do anything, because it is not easy and it is very humbling. Let's just say that. Hey, Will, what's up? This is Tom. What's your opinion on a recession happening in late Q3 or Q4? Look, I don't know, but I'm not seeing it. But I will say this. There will be another recession in US history. And if you remember what we talked about at the very, very beginning of this live stream, what we're starting to see now as we stand right across the street from the entrance of Central Park Tower, we're starting to see all of these articles again, and it's the same cycle, right? Michael Burry building his biggest short position he's ever built, right? Shorting the market. Jim Rogers is predicting a worse financial crisis than 2008. Peter Schiff is calling for a global catastrophe where gold will go to $10,000 an ounce and the S&P 500 will go to zero, right? There's going to be recessions and there's going to be more bear markets. But what I try to do is more of like a Peter Lynch approach. So Peter Lynch says, look, there's been more money lost from people trying to predict a recession than in the recessions themselves. So the best we could do is just trend follow and sort of move with the market. Now, if you want to talk about economic data, we briefly spoke about that earlier today. Consumers are still spending, right? Consumer spending is very, very strong. Unemployment is at some of its lowest levels it's ever been. I think the unemployment rate in the United States right now is at 3.5%, maybe 3.6%. Now, there are some concerns, right? I think, in my view, the biggest concern is the labor force participation rate. But then again, playing devil's advocate, it's sort of like cherry picking data. Because if I wanted to say a data point in favor for the economy, look at this statistic. Okay, I'll challenge you all to look at this statistic, and you could Google it for yourself. Prime age working individuals. Okay, so prime age working individuals in the United States, there's never been more prime age working individuals employed. We're at some of the highest levels ever. This is an awesome shot of 157. Look at that. And check this out. You have 220 Central Park South and Central Park Tower in the same shot as well. Now, this is a Vornado property. So Steve Roth, right next to Gary Burnett. So yeah, there's, you know, is credit keeping this economy propped up? Probably. But I'm very surprised at the resiliency. Now, who here in the chat is either surprised or not surprised at the resiliency of the US economy? Now, I would say I'm surprised, but then also on the flip side, I think with technology, with software, with all of these new innovative businesses, with telecommunications, it prolongs these bull cycles, because technology in and of itself drives efficiency. And when things are more efficient, companies are more profitable. And corporate profits in 2021 and 2022 set records. And I think they're probably going to set records again this year. So, Emmanuel says 157 has like 3 tenants. No, there's actually a lot of people that live there as primary now. As resales have come onto the market, there's actually quite a few primaries there. Now, I will say this, in 157, and I think this would be cool to look up because I'm actually going to be there later this week. There's the last new sale at 157 is on the market. Once they sell this, the building will be 100% sold out. So essentially what that means is, I think it's unit 33D. If you go to Street Easy and just type in 157 West 57th Street, you'll see what I'm talking about. I think it's unit 33D or 35D, I forget. But that is the last unit that is brand new at 157. Once that is sold, it's all resales, which is kind of crazy. Because the building essentially went live in 2014. I think the completion date was around there. So yeah, it's going to be all resales now. Okay, we've now reached 59th Street, Columbus Circle. In a moment here, you'll be able to see 1 Central Park West, which is also the Trump International Hotel and Tower. And then to the left, you'll see Deutsche Bank Tower, which is the former Time Warner Center. Hey, Sparks Carnival says LVMH Moet Hennessy. Louis Vuitton is down 12.5% in the last month. Are affluent customers slowing down? Possibly, but I also think this. Sometimes when stocks have just been gangbusters and going on a tear, the stocks need to correct. Right? Stocks go up and stocks go down. LVMH Moet Hennessy, I mean, we've been talking about that company, it seems like for almost 2 years on the stream. It's been one of the best performing stocks in the market. So look, I mean, are luxury consumers probably pulling back? Yeah, but sometimes there doesn't really need to be a reason for stocks to correct. It's just time for the stock to correct because it's been on such a tear. So, yeah, and I mean, also the market is pulling back. 8 out of 10 stocks generally correct with the market or move with the market. That's why in severe bear markets, if you're trying to constantly go long stocks, just the odds are against you because the weight of the market is against you. So knowing that 8 out of 10 stocks move with the market. So if the S&P is up, generally speaking, you're going to have 80% of individual stocks being up. I don't know. I think just the overall market in correction here. This is another awesome shot of Billionaires Row from a more interesting angle. Very seldom do I ever show you this angle, but look at that. Central Park Tower. Looks like a lot of lights are on too. 220 Central Park South. Now, I got to tell you guys about a crazy listing. So, one of my colleagues, technically, Noble Black, look him up. One of the best real estate brokers in Manhattan. He has a stunning, this thing is crazy, a stunning listing right here at 50 Central Park South. It's in the Ritz-Carlton Hotel and Residences. It's the building right next to 106 Central Park South, which is just so happens to be Trump Park, which is a really nice condominium. I shot a very brief property tour there. I forget where I posted it. If you look in the links in the description, you can probably find it somewhere on my Twitter or on my Instagram. It's an unbelievable property. Now, the owner right now is actually using it as a pied-à-terre. It's on the market, I think, for $16,995, I believe, $16,995. And the current owner almost is never there. Very seldom, maybe 2 or 3 weeks out of the entire year. The inside is breathtaking. The owner's personal library and study / office is like my dream office to have in an apartment. It has Central Park views. There's wood paneling throughout the entire thing, and you have this stunning, like Gordon Gekko style desk. It's just an unbelievable property. You can check it out on Street Easy if you type in 50 Central Park South. I believe it is on the market for $16,995. I just thought I'd call that out there. It's an amazing property. What I think I may try to do is shoot a longer form property tour of that unit just because it's so impressive, and I think you'd be interested in it. Hey, B-Ball is here. What's up? Who Dat Dave's, I believe, a fourth quarter recession start is already factored into the market. Well, I mean, let's look at the bond market, right? Usually the bond market forecasts that type of stuff. And right now you have a very, very severe and aggressive yield curve inversion. Very severe, very aggressive. Now, are bond yields going to stay elevated? I don't know. Last thing I'll say, and then we have to sort of cut you guys loose here because my battery's going to die. Did anybody read Barron's today? That'll be the homework, and then we'll come back and regroup tomorrow. But read the cover story or the first market report in Barron's this week. And it was about how bond yields are going higher. Usually when Barron's, puts out like a big cover story that says, oh, this is going to happen, or crude oil is going to hit, $200 a barrel. It usually has the exact opposite effect. I'll give you an example. Again, if you go to my Twitter page, I uploaded this there once before. Literally to the day, Barron's put out an article that the US dollar, or the Dixie, is going to continue to get stronger and stronger and stronger. Well, type in ticker symbol DXY or the Dixie right now. Ever since Barron's published that article, the Dixie, or the dollar, has been getting crushed. So sometimes, there's some stuff going on, and, retail is often used as the exit liquidity for those positions. Sometimes. It's called the Barron's curse. So I don't know. We'll see. But Jackson Hole is going to be up this week. All the big central bankers are going to be in Wyoming. for Jackson Hole. Friday, the Fed Chair Jerome Powell is going to be speaking, so we're going to have a big insight into interest rates there. But until then, I want to wish everybody a very happy Sunday night. I want to wish you a phenomenal start to the week. I wish you all the success in the world in this week ahead, and I will see you all tomorrow live from New York City at 8:30. If you enjoyed the live stream, feel free to leave a like on the video. Click the subscribe button if you're new here. And if you're looking to move to New York City or sell an apartment, buy an apartment, or rent, you can now work with us right here at Walks on Wall Street. We have officially signed on to the Kirsten Jordan team at Douglas Elliman, where we will be specializing in new development sales, but we will also help people from all price points. So if you need any help buying, selling, or renting in New York, feel free to reach out to us via email or just follow us on Twitter or Instagram. So guys, take it easy. I will see you all tomorrow. FredX, appreciate it. Miss Brown Eyes, Richard Vogel, Sparks Carnival, Abdullah, Mohammed, thank you for joining. Cindy Foley, Vonda Howard, take it easy. There's always a bull market somewhere, and you just need to know where to look. I will see you all back here in New York City tomorrow. Take care.